Hello everybody. Looks like we're all here. So I am going to go ahead and get started. Yes. Okay, well, you may refer to me as Miss Louise. Yes, it's wonderful to meet you all as well. I'm very excited that your parents have signed you up for this etiquette class. Although I prefer to think of it more as a life preparation class. Today is going to be a little bit of a fun topic, but as we progress, we'll be covering more. Right. So today I thought it would be fun, since we have Valentine's Day approaching, to go over some basic rules and suggestions for entering into a courtship with someone and navigating the dating world. Yes, there will be tips and advice and some rules for both the guys and the gals. So not to worry, there's going to be something for everyone. Okay, does that sound good? Great. Okay, so we will just get right into it. When you are looking to enter into a courtship with someone, we want to be looking at the person's character. So is this a guy or a gal that mom and dad will approve of? Is this someone who will fit into your family, who has similar values? We don't want to be looking at just the physical appearance. Now, I know that can be tempting, and if you see a beautiful young lady or a handsome young guy, you might want to pursue them, but it is important to look at the character. And this is why I always advise young people to involve their parents in the process. Yes, we don't want to be excluding mom and dad because they do know us better than anyone. So once we have established whether or not this person does have a good character, it's time to ask them to go on a date. Now, ladies, this is not something that you will be doing. No matter how much you might be interested in a young man or want to go on a date with him, do not ask him. It is not very feminine. It is not your role to be asking a young man on a date. It is a little bit aggressive, and we don't want to be sending the wrong message. We don't want to seem dominating. Right, so for all of the young men here, this is something that you need to do. If you do find yourself interested in a young lady, take that step and be the one to ask her. You need to show that you are capable of being a leader and of hosting this date. Okay, and this theme of hosting is going to be a little bit recurrent throughout our discussion today, and that does play into what the guy and the gal are supposed to be doing on this date to make sure that it is successful. So young men, it is your job to ask this young lady on a date. Now, I personally think that dinner is a wonderful first date for anyone. It is a little bit more public because there are other people at the restaurant. You can go on a group date, include other people. You don't have to. I know that not everyone likes to do that, but doing something in a more public area does help to keep us accountable for our actions. I see a few snickers there in the back. But really, we do need to be remembering to honor ourselves and our dates by conducting ourselves appropriately. So we don't want to be sending the wrong message by doing anything like a kiss on the first date. That is really not the message you want to send your date, because you're giving off the impression that you don't really respect your date enough to wait. It is a special moment, so you want to make sure that you are prepared and committed. Alright? Now, after you young men have asked your lady on a date, you need to make sure that you do it in a timely manner. So if you are planning to do a dinner date, or whatever it is that you have in mind, if you're planning to go out on a Friday or a Saturday, the general rule is no later than Wednesday. Do not ask her later than Wednesday. This way she has time to think about her answer. She can consult with her friends, her parents, trusted people in her life, and ask them what they would do if they think it's a good idea. And then she also has time to prepare herself for this date, because certainly you have had a little bit more time to plan, so she needs a little bit of notice. Ladies, you need to respond promptly to the question of going on a date. Just as he needs to give you ample time to consider whether or not you would like to go, you need to make sure that you let him know, so that if he needs to make other plans, he can, or if he needs to cancel his plans, he can do that. So I would generally say that no longer than 1 day is sufficient. That gives you plenty of time to consult other people, to think about what's in your heart, and then move forward from there. So, boys, no later than Wednesday, and ladies, 1 day. Okay? Do we have any questions so far? No? Okay, great. So we are going to talk a little bit about how to conduct yourself on this date. Once you have agreed to a time and a place, gentlemen, it is very important that you pick up your lady friend. You pick up your lady friend from her home. That way you can meet her parents and show that you are in charge of this date. You are hosting, which means that you are capable of taking care of your date. So you are responsible for bringing her to the location of the date, and of course bringing her back home afterwards. So you need to pick her up at her home, shake her father's hand, and I always recommend that if you do bring flowers for your date, bring 1 or 2 flowers for the date's mother. Yes, just a small token of appreciation towards her mother. It shows respect. I think it's a nice thing to do, and it does gain you a little bit of favor with the parents, okay? And another important thing is that you must be on time. Gentlemen, you cannot be late to pick up your lady friend. There is just no excuse for it. You need to know where to go, how long it takes to get there, and get there on time. No excuses. Ladies, you need to be ready when your date arrives. So there is no fixing your hair or touching up your makeup or anything like that once he has arrived. You need to have your clothing on, your hair done, your makeup done, tastefully, of course. We don't want to be a little bit too glamorous and send the wrong message. this is something that everybody needs to keep in mind, is the message that you are sending to your date. So ladies, you need to respect this gentleman's time and be ready to go when he arrives. It shows respect for him, just as him being on time shows respect for you. Okay? Okay. Now, once you arrive at the location of your date, if you have decided to do a dinner date, which, as I mentioned, I always recommend, a dinner date is just the perfect way to get to know someone in a comfortable and accountable environment. But if you do choose to do this, ladies, do not order your own meal. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot eat. You can, a little bit. However, you need to tell your date what your order is. So if you go through the menu, you find an item that appeals to you, you tell your date what it is that you would like to order, and when the server comes to take your order, your date can then take the lead and give both his and yours to the server. So, gentlemen, make sure that you are asking your date what it is that she would like, if there are any special things that she needs, or modifications to her order. That way you can show that you are capable of hosting the date, right? Because this is your event. You are the one who asked her to accompany you. So you want to show that you are able to take the lead and that you will make the right choice for her. So this is to show that you can listen. Okay, I know that sometimes the gentlemen do have a little bit of difficulty listening to everything that their lady friends say, but this is sort of a good way to practice that skill, okay? So just make sure that you are the one that takes the lead. If your date decides that she would like to order for herself, take a pause and evaluate why. Is she going to be the type of woman who likes to control everything? Because that is a concern. Or is it simply that you have not shown that you are able to take the lead for her? Now, during the dinner, you need to keep your topics of conversation appropriate. We certainly don't want to be discussing anything that you would be embarrassed to discuss in front of your parents. Okay? But this is a great opportunity to get to know each other and ask those questions about compatibility. You know, does your date want the same things that you do? Do they envision the same sort of family structure as you do? Do your values align? Your sense of humor? All of these things are very important. Okay? So you can discuss these things freely, of course. And at the end of the date, at the end of your meal, gentlemen, this should go without saying, of course, but gentlemen, you need to pay. We do not want our lady friends to be opening up a wallet or their pocketbook. It's inappropriate. If you are the one who asked this young woman to go out with you, you need to show that you are capable of taking care of her. So we don't want to be inviting somebody to an event with us and expecting them to pay for it. Okay? This is a great way to show that early stage of you being a provider. And for the young women, this is a good way for you to assess how you feel in a situation with your date taking care of you. Are you able to give that control to him and allow him to take the lead? Or are you hesitant to do that? Do you trust that he can provide for you and that he can take care of you? Or do you feel a little bit nervous? And do those feelings come from you or from his actions? Okay, so these are things that you can reflect on after the date, but certainly be aware of them during the date. Okay? Okay, so young men, you are now tasked with bringing your lady friend home, and we do not want to end the night with a kiss. Certainly not on the first date. No, it is just too soon. It is too quick. You want to show that you are patient and that you respect the honor and the virtue of the young woman that you have invited on the date. So you may give her a handshake, or if the date has gone very well, a friendly hug, okay? We don't want to do anything beyond a hug because, again, we want to respect ourselves and respect our date. So, young women, the same would go for you. Of course, you want to allow him to initiate this, but if you do happen to be in a situation where a young man does seem like he's coming in for that kiss on the first date, it is completely acceptable to refuse this. In fact, I encourage it. Again, out of respect for yourself and for your date, there is no issue with refusing this or saying no, okay? And going in for that hug or for that handshake is a great way to say, I enjoyed my time with you. I would like to spend more time with you, but I respect that we are still in the early stages of this courtship. Okay. Now, if you find that you would like to see this person again, first of all, congratulations. This is great news. But it is important that if you decide you would like to go on another date with them, you are not going on dates with anyone else. So young men, you do not need to be going out asking other young ladies to go on a date with you. And girls, we do not need to be saying yes to any gentleman that comes to you and asks for a date. I'm sure you have all heard of going steady. Okay, great. So having a steady is a very exciting time in your life. It's a good experience, it's a fun experience. But really what this does is it provides you with a foundation for marriage. And marriage is the goal of every courtship, right? We're not just dating for fun. No. So, we don't want to be seeing multiple people because it doesn't show that we are serious. We do want to be taking this process seriously and respecting the time of our date. So, dating one person at a time and really respecting the fact that you are trying to look towards marriage. Can I build a family with this person? Are my parents going to like this person? What kind of family will we build together? Okay, so these things are all very important to consider, and it's very hard to do that if you have multiple people that you are considering at the same time. Okay, now does anybody have any more questions? Anything that was unclear? Not really? Oh, yes, you? Oh, okay, yes, that is a good question. What is appropriate to be wearing on a date? Now, this is a little bit tricky. It does depend on where you go for your date. I always recommend, though, that gentlemen, you wear clothes that make you feel confident. Okay, you need to be wearing clothing that would be appropriate, let's say, for church, perhaps. We don't need to be doing anything like a a formal suit, okay, that is a little bit extravagant, but just clothing that is freshly ironed, clean, and presentable, okay? We want to look respectable and show that we take pride in the way that we look and that we are trying to make a good impression. Now, young women, wearing makeup, of course, is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But we do not want to be doing any makeup that is too bold. Okay, so we don't want any bright lipsticks or heavy makeup that is going to distract from our natural beauty. Right. When it comes to clothing, dresses, of course, are always a wonderful thing to wear. Skirts, of course, but when you are choosing your outfit, try not to choose a very bold pattern. So we don't want to be wearing something with an extremely bright color or with a noticeable pattern, because it does take away from the fact that we are there to try and get to know this person. It distracts the person from your lovely face, okay? And it can send the wrong message. If you are trying to draw too much attention to your body, it is a little bit concerning because we have to wonder why. The focus and attention should be on your mind and your character, okay? Now, as I said, we all want to be looking presentable, so wear something that is respectable, comfortable, for the most part. Of course, we know that certain articles of clothing are not always the most comfortable, but we grin and bear it. Okay? So nothing too bold. No bright patterns or anything like that. We do want to keep it more neutral. Okay? And that goes for the gentlemen as well. No bright, bold colors. Just something nice and neutral. Something that is dressy. Okay? But we don't want to be too formal. Again, this can be tailored a little bit to the location of your date. If you're going to a diner, you would certainly wear something a little bit different than you would to an upscale restaurant. But the general idea remains the same. Yes, okay. So are there any more questions? No? Okay. Well, it was absolutely lovely to meet you all. I'm looking forward to many more classes with you. We are going to be discussing romantic relationships, of course, but this course really is designed to prepare you for your adult life. Now, we are starting with courtships, but we will progress into information on how to navigate courtships once you are in one, which will be very exciting, and then how to navigate engagement and marriage. So, women, I will have a lot of useful tricks, tips, all sorts of information for you about how to manage a home, children, being a wife, being a mother, all of those great things. And gentlemen, we will be discussing a little bit your role as a husband, of course, and as a father. But we will have a gentleman come in who can assist you with information on navigating the workforce and how to be a good provider and deal with the stress of having a job and going to work all day, because that's not something that I, of course, can speak to. So we will be having a guest come in and mentor you in that regard. But I will be covering most of the domestic aspects of adult life, and I look forward to getting into more detail with you because this is a very exciting adventure. And as everyone is approaching that age where we need to be considering courtships and marriages, I think that the information will be very useful for all of you. Okay, so if anybody has any further questions or comments, I will be here for a little while, but class is officially over, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Okay?